I'm just enjoying some delicious glazed and juicy meatloaf along with the buttery baked butternut squash. Now the two of them go together fantastically. You know, good earthy tastes. This is really a juicy meatloaf. Goes well with the butteriness of the butternut squash. But the other thing that's really great about cooking the two together is that both of them bake at the same temperature, 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 Celsius, and they both bake for 90 minutes. So you prepare them, you put them both in the oven side by side, you go, you have a glass of wine, you relax, you enjoy, and then dinner is ready. And this meatloaf I've been working on for years and years to make it just the juiciest, fantastic, it's herby inside, it's got that fantastic glaze on top, and it's easy to make. So let's go in the kitchen and make some right now. Okay, to make our glazed and juicy meatloaf, we have a bunch of ingredients here that are going to go into the meatloaf itself, and then we're also going to make a little glaze for it. So, first of all, let's just quickly go over the main ingredients here. These are all the ones that go in the meatloaf. 1 tablespoon of oil, that's just for frying the onion. We have 1 onion that has been finely chopped. We have here 1 pound or 450 grams of ground meat. Again, I'm using my favorite, which is the half beef and half pork. You could just use beef, you could just use pork, anything's fine. Make sure it's a little bit fat in there. You don't want the really lean stuff. You want a bit of grease in there to give it that juiciness. All right, here we have, to hold in that juiciness, we're using the panko breadcrumbs, 1 cup of breadcrumbs. To add juiciness, we've got here 3/4 cup of chicken stock. We have 3 tablespoons of milk, 1 egg to bind everything together. For flavoring, we have here 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce, or however you say it. We have here 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard, the sharper stuff. 1.5 teaspoons each of oregano and basil, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to get the onion going. We just want to cook the onion for about 5 minutes. So I'm going to get that started right away. I'll put that on a medium-low heat. Toss in the olive oil. All right, bring that olive oil up to a bit of heat. And now I'm going to add the onions. So, gonna let that onion cook for about 5 minutes, so just give it an occasional stir. So while that's cooking, we can put together the meatloaf itself. So first thing, get a bigger bowl. I'm gonna toss in all the hamburger, or ground meat, or whatever you want to call it. Get that in there. Notice I'm using my favorite plastic spatula, the one that I can kind of cut through the meat. It's this great way for mixing. All right, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add in all the dry ingredients. We're going to toss in the panko breadcrumbs. We're going to toss in the oregano and basil, salt and pepper. And then I'm just going to mix that in to the ground meat. So we're just going to kind of get that combined a bit first and everything distributed before we start adding in some of the fluids. And now we're going to add in the mustard. And Worcester sauce. And the milk. Now we're going to save this. It's going to go in with the onions for a minute, and the egg will add in last. So let's just get this mixed up and ready for the addition of the rest of the ingredients. See how I'm just cutting and turning. Cut, turn, cut. And already that's starting to pull together a bit. So, I'm don't have to do this perfectly because we're going to still be mixing in the other ingredients. Hello there. All right, so now going to put that aside for a minute. While we've got these cooking, I'm just going to check these. Yum, yum. Let that keep cooking. Just turn that heat up just a little bit. Going to make the glaze that goes on top of the meatloaf. And that has got a half a cup of ketchup, 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce, 1 teaspoon of oregano, and 1 teaspoon of basil. And all we do, notice I've got a small bowl here. I made it a little bit bigger than the ketchup, so I can just mix everything right in here. So just add the Worcester sauce to that, the oregano and basil. Then, using my little spatula here, I'm just going to blend those together. All right. Just need to kind of do a little bit of this kind of whipping here to get the Worcester sauce to match in with the, or blend in with the ketchup. All right, see it's getting nice brown now? That's going to be a beautiful glaze. All right, so we've got our glaze ready. We'll set that aside, bring the meat back in here. And we've got a few more minutes on the onions. So let's come back in a couple of minutes and we'll finish putting this together and get it ready to go in the oven. Okay, those onions have been cooking for about 5 minutes. They're a little softened up. That's all we want. We're not browning these onions or anything. We're just softening them up a little bit. Now I'm going to take the chicken stock and just add that in there. Still got it on the heat. Stir it around a little bit. Just heat it up a bit. We're not really going to cook it. Just bring it up to heat a bit. We're kind of making like a little bit of a compote here. All right, that's good enough. Kill the heat. And we're going to add this into our meatloaf. All right. So now we just mix that in, and it's just gonna. You can just see that the all that juice, all the chicken stock is just being soaked right up by our breadcrumbs. Oh, this is, look at that. This is going to be so juicy. So now I'm just making sure everything is mixed nicely. Cut and turn, cut and turn. You can see it's all starting to come together in like basically a paste. If you made the Japanese hamburgers, you remember how it all started to come together like this? But this one, this is even juicier because of course it's going to be in a loaf pan. We don't have to make burgers out of it. All right, now that's ready. I'm going to crack in the egg and mix that in, and then we're going to put it into the pan. So we've added the egg. Cut the egg up a bit and mix it in. All right, we just want to combine this well. Get it right in there. Now we just kind of stir it around. Look at that. Okay. Now, what I have here is a loaf pan for making bread. This is about 10 inches by that's about 4.5 inches. It basically what you'd call a 2-pound loaf, round about there. Really, the size doesn't matter that much. It could be a little smaller. What you're going to get is if you make it smaller, you get a bit of a deeper meatloaf. I like a bit of a wider meatloaf because I like more glazed surface area to the meat because that glaze is absolutely delicious. All right. So now all we do is we're just gonna plop that meatloaf mix into the pan. And then I'm just going to smooth out it. Oh, by the way, this pan was, I just lightly buttered it. You don't really need to. I like to, just to make sure it comes out easy. But it's so juicy that I've cooked it without buttering the pan, and it already didn't make that much difference. All right, just smooth that into the corners. Okay. Now, Once you get the meatloaf distributed nicely throughout, then it's time to add the glaze on top. So put that on here. And what I'm going to do now, oh, there we go, perfect timing. Our oven is ready. So that oven is heated up to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius. And this meatloaf is going to go in there for 90 minutes to just bake slowly until it's perfect. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to kind of spread the glaze around, get it distributed over the top. Doesn't have to be perfect because it'll kind of even out while it's baking too. There we go. Look at that. Beautiful. All right, that's going to go in the oven 90 minutes. Then we'll come back and we're going to serve up some delicious, juicy meatloaf. All right, that has been cooking for 90 minutes in the oven, and you get the glaze on top. Smells great. Now, to serve this up, one of the things I found over the years is that if you try to serve it up like this, it's going to be really difficult to get out of there without breaking it. So what I do is take a spatula. We cut to desired thickness, and then I tilt it up, and now out it comes. There we go. All right, isn't that delicious? Look at that glaze on top there. The meat inside is all juicy. This is not a dry meatloaf. This is a fantastically delicious meatloaf. A little bit of sauce left down in here. Fantastic. All right, enjoy this meatloaf. Now, if you go to the link appearing on the screen, you can get the free printable recipe on our website. You'll also find a real easy to follow along recipe infographic which visually shows you the steps in making this delicious glazed and juicy meatloaf. So, go print out the recipe, have fun making and eating this meatloaf, and make cooking fun again with Kuma's Kitchen.